order. It's like 7:05-ish. Everyone is here with the exception of Joe right now. And Tom. Tom's not coming.
He got out of work late.
Yeah,
Stuck in rain.
that's what he said. First
There
is
it is.
Pledge of Allegiance. How about our students lead us tonight?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Citizens' comments. Mr. Rice? No?
No comment.
No comment? Okay. You'll have an opportunity later if you think of something. Committee updates. Oh, yeah. I was trying to think. It's on here, but do we, we have a subcommittee for the law firms. And we met with 4 different law firms, and the subcommittee, I think, is going to make a recommendation to the full board tonight. Right? Who's in charge of that one?
You, I thought.
Kathleen
Oh,
is.
yeah.
So, I guess when the time's right. Anything else? Nothing?
There is a letter from Shipman and Goodwin that just came in today, in case anyone wants to take a look at that.
Right, it's from Shipping and Goodwin saying how much they still want to be part of our school system.
But we still want to charge them.
But they didn't say anything about rates, so.
Nope.
Okay.
They'll give us some free PD on the back, that's the whole letter, so.
All right. Excellent, okay, so we can vote on that after. There's no other subcommittees, right? Which is an ongoing thing. Okay. Educational updates. Start with the student spotlight.
Okay, so our student spotlight is Paul Boisberg.
Hello. Just like Lou. It does, it's just like Lou.
Each month, Turtle Memorial High School Student Spotlight Program recognizes a student who has demonstrated outstanding achievement, character, leadership, attitude, and/or contribution to the school community. May's Student Spotlight honoree is senior Paul Boisberg. Paul was nominated by his peer Chris McClure. In Paul's nomination, Chris states, Paul is an incredible member of the school community. Paul is a quiet leader, but is the first task with any task. He comes to every Triad meeting, is a dedicated member of the band, is dedicated to drama club, and attends music club. Paul works at Curly Rec and goes out of his way to bring music to children by teaching many lessons about music. Paul does a lot for Team HS and the town, and has even played in the pit for the Wizard of Oz musical. During his time at Team HS, Paul has received the Integrity Plus Award, the Rising Star Music Award, and the Fastest Learner Award. He has also been accepted into Anne Maria Music Therapy Program. When Paul was asked what motivates him, he replied, the pursuit of knowledge, mostly. In my lifetime, I want to understand everything there is to understand. In this pursuit, I want to impart what I know to others and do as much as I can to help. I was planned for the future. Paul says, I'm going to Anna Maria for music therapy. After graduating, I plan on working in a clinical setting with patients. When asked what message he would like to share with the school community, Paul says, my advice for all high schoolers is to take everything seriously. It is not easy to let your grades slip and have time to fly by. Don't let it happen to you, and you have to stay on top of things. Trust me, it'll be worth it.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Paul, actually, you're very eloquent. Would you like to take a moment and talk about your experience? Off the
Sure.
top?
I didn't go to Turtle Lot all 4 years. I went to Marianapolis for the first 2, and then I transferred here because I went to the school system all the way up to high school. I didn't like Marianapolis much, so I decided to come back here, and really at Turtle Lot I blossomed into who I am today, and I'm very appreciative of what the school has done for me. So thank you.
Paul.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yes.
I've never heard of the Fastest Learner Award.
Oh, yeah, because
What is that?
because I'm primarily a guitarist for instruments. So when I joined the school system, they put me in concert bands, and I didn't play any of those instruments, so they put me in percussion. So then I had to learn how to play a new set of instruments really fast. So that's where that came from. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm really glad I gave the opportunity to Paul to speak first. As many of you may remember his attendance at one of our board finance meetings last year. You said it best. You truly did blossom here in Turtle Lot. Your heart is one of the biggest tiger hearts that I've ever had the joy of knowing, and I'm so glad that you came home. You really have had a wonderful, wonderful career here in Turtle Lot. You're going to do amazing things. Paul's story is very close to my heart, and I wish him all the best.
Thank you.
All right, we have graduation tickets. If you indicated a +1, they are in the envelope.
Is my marching passing you, Mr. Birch?
Yes, we have a special spot at town hall. Bill, is it valet this year or no? Yeah, I got a whole new bunch of young people working for me. They're driving your car.
Gotcha. I'll give one to Steve and let him in.
Okay.
Yeah, I need handicap parking to reserve a spot.
I'm making myself a
I
note.
have to get used to it.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
All in?
That is it.
End of the year?
He does.
Yes, and we have 2 more exams. Oh, I'd like to introduce to the board our next year's liaison, Emily and Angela, and Coca there. They both been in very well-rounded individuals that we'd like to understand.
All right. Okay, moving on. Superintendent's update.
Do they have any updates?
They
That's
just
it.
blew it off because it's the end of the year.
So, as far as enrollment, we currently have 972 students, and if you turn to, and Danette's back there, Danette keeps, she's our data manager, and she keeps, special attention on the students' comings and goings, and sometimes it's complicated, but on the last page of her sheet, you can see where we had, a number 7 withdrawals, but you can see that some students moved to another state, they moved to another, 3 moved to another town in Connecticut. 1 moved back to St. Joseph's, and 1 did discontinue school. So, and then of course we did actually register a student. So right now, we're gonna end the school year with 972 students. We started the school year with 1,005. So, and we've had ups and downs all year long, which is typical, and when we look back on your enrollment, it always happens, the ebb and flow of people moving in and out of the district.
Can we do, sometime just either next month or the month after, not a rush, just, I'd be curious, like, totals for the year, how many moved out? Is that something that, I mean, either way, if you can, I'd just be curious now, because it's a big number, and out of the 25 or whatever it is, 28, how many,
Yep,
like,
I can do
moved
something
out of
like that.
town versus just went to other places?
Yes.
Thank you.
And you have all the previous
'Cause
reports.
we have a lot
so it should be
moving out.
pretty- We do.
We had a lot of moving out this year, so I'm just curious what that total number was.
That's it for me.
Is it for you? Okay. Teacher recalls.
So last month, we, or 2 months ago, we made a recommendation to lay off our non-tenured teachers. There was about 20 of those teachers that we laid off. We need to recall our teachers. Obviously, we can't run a district without our teaching staff, which is the backbone of the school department. The bad thing is that we don't have a budget in place, and so I can't recall all of the teachers. So I am holding out 2 teachers, the least senior kindergarten teacher, who, by the way, is phenomenal, and a reading teacher at Mary Fisher, until the budget is decided. Once the budget's decided, perhaps we can hold a quick emergency meeting to call those folks back. But we wanted to make sure that the bulk of our teaching staff doesn't start looking for other jobs, and we want to call those back, because we know we can't run the district without them.
Couldn't we just say, you know, to everybody except those 2, but if the budget is passed, then you could do that without calling a special meeting? Can we do something like that?
No,
I thought we
no, I
officially
think we'd
have
have
to
to do
vote.
it official. And it would only take 4 of us, so whatever. But I think this is a safe, legal
is.
way to go, to do it this way.
That's where we're at, so
Okay.
I'll just need your approval at, later in the,
Sure.
to call those people
Yeah.
back.
All right, the legal firm, Kathleen, you wanna talk about this one now, or? Kathleen?
Yeah, okay. We did get a committee together and interviewed 4 firms, including the firm that we currently have, Shipman and Goodwin. Because, one, it's good practice to go out and review your options, both in legal and in accounting firms. We've had Shipman and Goodwin for many, many years. 40?
40.
Way before my time. Although we are very happy with Shipman and Goodwin's service to us and the product that they deliver to us, their rates are ever increasing, and we wanted to see what the market is out there, or what market there is out there. And we were very pleased at the rates that other firms were offering us. And we did come up with a decision, and we will vote on that, from another Connecticut firm, Pullman and Coleman. I don't have Comey, who do have a strong educational department. They're out of Bridgeport and Hartford. They actually represent the town of Union and other districts in our DRG, plus other towns that are similar to us in makeup, similar population-wise, district, and also enrollment-wise, small towns, small communities. Bill or I will be making a recommendation to the board that we accept them. Their rate was the 400 to the 425 range is what Shipman and Goodman is currently charging us. Their rate was $285 an hour. Well, we believe will be equally same service and also we're under no contractual obligation to keep them. So if we find that we're not happy with them, we can just say goodbye.
Does anybody have questions for Kathleen? No? Okay, so we'll vote on that a little bit later. Paraprofessional layoffs?
For the original budget, it seems like light years ago, but when we put that original budget together, we included a reduction of 2 paraprofessionals at Mary Fisher. And so the 2 layoffs, we've notified the 2 least senior paraprofessionals. Those folks were just hired this year, and that layoff, and we just need your approval to lay off those 2 paraprofessionals, and that was as a result of the original development of the budget.
do you think there's any further layout?
We
We
could.
don't know.
I have a meeting with Principal Beltran and Mr. Jones. It's this week, or is it tomorrow? Wednesday, to go over a list of paraprofessionals, make sure our students are covered. And then if there are some positions that we can reduce there, we would certainly throw that as another option. Because as we all know, our budget was reduced 91,000, so we are gonna have to make some decisions. But I wanna go over our list of paraprofessionals and their assignments for next year. But these two, we had originally put in the budget to reduce anyway.
Okay.
I just wanna make a correction, the budget wasn't only reduced 91,000, that was the last cut.
That's
Before that,
right.
it was 159,000, so it's been cut $250,000.
You're right.
Which was the original amount they
They were
wanted.
going to do.
So,
Right. Yeah,
one
so
way or another,
they
they were
had
gonna
to-
get their 250.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions about the paraprofessionals? Okay. Next up is the use of the 1909 historical education rooms.
And Mr. Lindley is, made a proposal, and he's asked us to, or for you to, look over that motion and see, if the board would agree.
Okay, so did everybody get this or no? Okay, so this is from Joe. While I cannot attend the BOE meeting, I would like to propose the BOE take the following under consideration. This may help us moving ahead. A motion to approve the vacant second floor classrooms of the 1909 Turtle Lot building to be used as historical education rooms for the students of Thompson Public Schools. The rooms to be managed and organized by the Thompson Historical Society. Room 1, the Ramsdell Room. Alice Ramsdell and her dad were cousins of the Turtlelots, and she graduated from TMHS in 1927. She was also the first curator to the Memorial Room, a job she held for decades. Few in Thompson's history have done more to keep the Turtelot story alive than she. Room 2, the Village Room. This room would be established to teach the children about the different villages that eventually formed what we now know as Thompson, Connecticut. Each was its own microcosm and contributed greatly to our history. Introducing the student to this display will enhance their awareness of the villages of this great town in which we live and how they were established. Signed, Joe Lindley. So, there was some talk about the use of the room. So to make it legal, this is what Joe proposed. I think everybody saw things on Facebook going around that, you know, we're using the building for non-educational purposes, if that's what the accusation was, I don't know. But by the board making a resolution to use these rooms, I think it would, in Joe's view, would cover that. Everybody okay with that?
So, as always.
Yep.
Maybe we'll be on something different after tonight. Legally. As I understand it, what we're trying to do is separate a portion of the school to be, quote, managed by the Historical Society.
Pretty much.
If I understand all the, I'll be nice, comments, okay, on social media, it comes back to the whole ridiculous state statute that you can't use your own, like, personal cell phone in this building because you're using the cover of the roof, you know, so are we actually, is this actually accomplishing anything, is my point. Just because, you know, I understand Joe knows more about the history than any of us, you know, combined. But legally, is it accomplishing what I think he's trying to accomplish?
Well, the Total Lot Trust manages the entire building.
Sure.
The Historical Society manages the memorial room. So I think this is just, in addition to that, they would manage 2 more rooms to preserve the history of the town.
I understand that, but what we're trying to get to is a true separation of quotes, church and state. Okay, that's what we're trying to get to, I think. And so just saying that, yes, they can manage it, I think it's truly got to separate out Board of Ed money contributing to those rooms.
But it's not crystal clear, because.
Go ahead, Bill.
It's not crystal clear, because whereas they pay for major renovations, we're still heating it and cleaning it.
To my point, is this gonna accomplish anything? The effort here is people making accusations that if let's just call it what, everybody knows what's going on. If the Alumni Association is using a room in that building, then it's taxpayer funded. We're trying to make it so it's not. Okay? And so, how do we do that? Does this accomplish anything, is all I'm saying. You know, I'm all in favor of
I get
that, but
What is the purpose of these rooms? Like, what is gonna be done in these rooms? Cause my question is this, we do use part of the curriculum, you know, I forgot what grades, they do go around town learning the historical portion of our town.
They did it
We go to
Did
the
today,
town.
yeah.
Right, I mean, I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, no, I saw
No,
it,
but it's
no.
a great thing, so I'm wondering, is this a part of that? Bill, can you, I know you're shaking your head, or somebody,
I think the gist of Joe's letter and Joe's proposal is that those areas are to be managed by the Historical Society, but the key term is for the education of the students, for the history of the town of Thompson. So, in the past, I would say 10 years, there has been more traffic on the second floor of that building by students, everywhere from preschoolers to high school students, than in many, many years before. And I'm looking at my friend Mrs. Pedersen over there, because she told me that she had never seen the memorial room until she worked here. And between Joe personally, and the Historical Society, and the work of the trust to restore the building and preserve those things, the students of the entire town are getting far more education out of that history than they ever did before. And let's face it, the Board of Education does not have funding to run that curriculum.
Absolutely.
So if the Historical Society can do that by allowing them the use of what would otherwise be storage space, we'd have junk piled up in those rooms if they didn't use them. And I think that's the point of Mr. Lindley's letter, and the key is that it is for the educational benefit of the students.
Okay. Obviously all for it, but maybe he's not looking to separate it. I just wanted to be sure of what we're doing,
We don't use it for classrooms or.
which is a shame.
well, so those rooms we don't use for classrooms primarily because, well, we have the elevator that goes there, but the Rascavage Auditorium doesn't have handicap accessibility. We use it when we can. We use it for practices when we can. I agree with Bill that the traffic up there has certainly increased over the past couple of years, at least since I've been there. And I know they plan on putting that little village in the room that we just got painted. So it would be wonderful to have that up there. And then it'll be more opportunities for more grade levels to access those artifacts that are up there. I think it's an amazing space, and we should definitely make sure that it's preserved for the children.
I have no problem with this. I honestly don't care if there are people in town that like it or don't like it. And
I agree.
And I would entertain a motion to,
Not yet.
Joe's motion to,
Not there yet.
We're not yet? Well, we have to add it, don't we?
No,
No, it's on
Oh, it is there?
It's on
All right.
E.
Oh, all right, I'm sorry. Thank you for always keeping me along. All right. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. Oh, yeah. Budget updates?
Well, there is no money, but we'll let Bob talk about it.
Which year?
This year.
Okay, so, I just wanna. Basically, at this point, we're probably gonna end up the year, it changes on a daily basis, it changes why you shouldn't look at your 401K every day, because that changes in value. At this point in time, we're continuing to close purchase orders that are not gonna be filled. We had, balloon checks are going on this week, so the payroll ran, Rachel started running the payroll today. It's kind of mind-boggling the dollar amount. It's over $500,000 for this week's teacher and aide payroll. But when it all is said and done, we should be on the good side of zero when we come to the end of the year, but not much better than that, which is probably where you want to be. Actually, it is where you want to be. You ask for a certain amount of money, and that's the amount of money that you're going to end up spending. I'll come next month and we'll talk about budget item transfers. I mean, to move some of the budgets around so that they actually balance to what, say for example, if we spend more money on middle school pairs than we thought we were going to, but less money on elementary school pairs, then it's a swap of some money to even out the accounts. So you can get a better projection on it for when you do future budget processes. You don't want to leave them, but you want to be able to actually use it as a record. So that's where we're at for this year. Again, we're going through the process right now of I'm starting to close out grants, making sure the money that is supposed to be used by grants. Sometimes with payroll, there's we've had some ins and outs. Somebody may have been started the year that being paid out of Title I. They don't work here anymore. The next person after them was supposed to be being paid out of Title I, but they weren't. So transferring that money around too, and that'll help us get down to the number as well. Yep.
And this also includes the excess cost money
Yes.
that we did receive from the town.
That was gonna be my
So,
question.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's in there.
Whoa.
Where?
Do we
Where?
In the
Special
people
tuition.
services?
So we're over 322,766
With the excess.
with the excess cost money.
Yes.
And we will be bringing that to the Board of Finance at their next meeting to make them aware of
Oh,
how far
absolutely.
over on special ed when we have had these discussions year in and year out about.
Did we get the last amount of money?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
70,000?
62,166.
So what was that total, 272?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then we'll have one more final amount of reporting that go to the state. But we ended up, we're not gonna have to send money back.
No, no, that's for sure.
So we're
So-
$600,000 overspent.
That's what I was just
So
about to
like
ask.
20% overspent in special ed or pupil services.
Well, remember that we had students that.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's a huge number, that's 20%.
I mean, of the kids
Well,
that.
actually, no, it's more, it's like 25%. I'm going off of what we actually spend.
We have 10 different bodies than we started with.
Yeah, between paraprofessionals, teachers, and then students out of the
Students.
district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have to make sure that they are as blatantly aware of this as possible. This is something we've been bringing to them every year,
Every month.
that we need to start talking about, the town taking its responsibility on special ed.
Wow.
It's not being talked about enough that we are now taking on more transportation costs, and the town is reaping those benefits and still getting additional funds in their budget. But, it has gone skewed the other way too far. Yeah.
And just know, I'm looking at the principals there, back in October, we froze their budget. So the reason that
21%
we're probably gonna get to the good side of zero, if there's ever one, is that we didn't fill the budgets of the schools.
It's, and it's hard to, my wife and I talk about budgets all the time. We have pretty boring discussions in my house, but we talk about budgets. And she's like, you mean to tell me that you actually have to come out to zero, but you can't go over, but you can't, but you're not allowed to save money on the side for like retirements and stuff like that? Nope, gotta be at 0.
But they agreed to the 1%
They did.
This year, yeah.
this year, so we can put some of this, if there's anything left over, we can put it in our savings. If there's, theoretically, if there was money left over.
Or you can buy a Subway grinder.
You would split it like 9 ways. All right, anybody have questions for Bob?
But Bob, you wanna go over the cafeteria, because this is some good news.
This is a good story.
Yeah, it is a good story.
I don't know if do you guys have the cafeteria information in front of you?
Yep.
If you'll look right now, our computed operating position right now for the cafeteria, Lisa is at, 86,349 to the positive for the year. Some of it has to do with flow of grants, but that, when you're into the 11th month of the year, it's just coming out in the wash. We're still, we've got, 33,531 in encumbered grant money. That should be the end of this month. I did the forms for like 3 weeks ago, so that should be deposited sometimes towards, it's usually deposited around the 26th to the 27th of the month. But this is a pretty nice story compared to years past.
Wait, where are you getting the 86,000? I thought we were 50,000.
Computed operating position.
Show me where.
First column, year to
Oh, the
date.
first column,
Right down
this
there.
one, right here.
So you have no expenses in for June yet, so.
No, it's not gonna end up at $86,000.
No.
I mean, her average monthly expenses are around, for an average, it's around 43, 44. I'll tell you, I mean, it's just not where you guys were at a couple of years ago, so it's pretty,
No, that's for sure.
pretty impressive.
Still, you're gonna be positive at least, so that's good. You were positive last year, so it makes that even other one really fishy.
Well, I will say that as far as unpaid lunches, we sent out our final letters today, and we're about, I guess, Danielle, what, $3,200 worth of unpaid lunches. Of course, you know, Lisa works on that all summer to get that number down, but that's up. Last year, we were a lot higher at this time of the year, we almost double that.
Thought we were around 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
around
6, no, that's good.
And they did get it down to 1,000?
Yeah, just a little over 1,000 at one point.
I'm super excited to announce that the trend in high school, the students are really beginning to respond after 3 years of Mr. Poland, Mrs. O'Connell, and myself reminding them of their balances. And I was super excited to let our senior class know that we're just under $250 at the high school for a total.
That's excellent.
Negative balance at the senior level, 35 cents.
Oh.
I offered to pay it off.
That's very nice of you.
And the other thing to look at is, you know, meals sold.
Yeah.
Right now, we're still, for breakfast, we're trending 77% over last year. For lunch, it's 3% over last year, and cumulative total between the two meals, it's 27% over last year. That's a significant increase. Next time I'll start to include, she's also keeping track of snacks, how many afternoon snacks that are going out as well. But we have to create a baseline first.
So we're gonna obviously end the year on a positive note here. Now, that cafeteria deficit, after the audit, how much money did they say that we owed them?
Ended up being
I thought
30,
36,000.
30 something. Yeah,
Yeah.
32, 30 something.
Yeah, it was around 32. Last year, it went down without us doing anything. So,
Right. So if we wait another couple of years.
I'm thinking it's gonna be, no, I have to give more fact-based answer than that. All the grants are counted, because I keep track of them
Right.
myself, and I think that was why we went down, the amount last year, was there were a couple of grants that weren't coded correctly.
So at the end of the year, are we planning on taking any of this and putting it towards that, or is that just up for the?
Yeah, she's also gonna do some, she's got some equipment, purchases
Yeah.
that she has to take care of too. That Bill is helping with some of the, helping to redo the line in there.
She
But,
wrote a $15,000 grant.
Yeah.
Lisa did, to do the counters and the line there, yep.
she explores a lot of avenues of getting grants as opposed to paying for the stuff outright.
Yeah, no, I get that, we gotta pay for our own equipment, but just to refund that deficit in the
Yeah.
last 5
Yep.
days. So if, you'll let us know next month or whatever, how we end up.
Yeah, that would be after, after we close out the books for
Sure.
August 31st.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've got the auditors, are starting to come in, to be in the week after next, just to spend a day with me, playing whack-a-mole.
Okay.
I'm wondering how much of the hard work that you, Mrs. Smith, put in when you first started with us in aligning, identifying families of multiple levels and multiple names, and being able to truly identify who our free and reduced qualifiers were. Because I know that by accurately being able to identify those families and helping them out, that's had a significant impact, especially within the cafeteria, being able to not only provide them breakfast, but also help with those balances.
Yeah.
And
It's that
piloting next year,
cross-referencing.
Yep.
that should
the lunch,
also
yeah.
help, piloting lunch at the elementary.
Yeah, next year, we're gonna pilot free lunch, the board had approved that. The caveat will be for families they have to fill out the free and reduced lunch form, and if they fill it out, even if they don't, hit the poverty criteria, we're going to pilot and see if it can pay for itself like the breakfast program did. If we're successful, then we can have a conversation around the rest of the district, and then maybe we'll never have to worry about unpaid lunch balances. But there are many communities that offer free lunch across the board in the district. We are just a hair away from the way we qualify. Lisa explained to us before, it's those direct certifications, and it's the percentage of those that put us at a threshold as to whether or not we can offer free lunch for everyone. And we just miss it by maybe 2 students. It's a very small number.
But the more free and reduced lunch that we qualify, it helps us in other ways, right?
It does.
In other federal
It's
areas.
it's somehow one of the variables that's, and I say one, of the many variables that's calculated in to make the ECS formula for Thompson. So when that number goes up, it does play into that, and it also puts us in better positions when we're going out for grants. Believe it or not, that poverty rate matters. When we did the Farm to School grant, that was one of the key factors, the fact that our poverty rate was above 40%. So we could apply for the grant.
In addition to being able to identify and service those families, I will say at the high school, the exponential rise in students taking part in breakfast was absolutely amazing. So it benefits all of us. It benefits all of our students being able to nutritionally have their needs met.
I just hope when the packet goes out of the forms that have to be filled out for the students, with the health forms and everything, that form is included in there, so they will fill it out and send it back.
We mail it with my newsletter in the summer, we always do that. And then we're gonna make it again available in that, and then Lisa's keeping a list as these forms come in, then she's gonna reach out, because you won't be able to get free lunch until, especially at Mary Fisher next year, until we have that form, because that form is vital, for us to qualify students.
Yeah, because they'll think, oh, it's free, so, why bother? That's
Right.
what I am so worried about.
I'm worried about it too, but it won't be free until we get the form.
All right, anybody have questions on the budget? Okay. Administrative reports. Nav, you wanna start?
Sure. I passed out 2 of our recent programs, and Carol Rossetti did a showcase, a music showcase, and if you notice, there's a ukulele on the front, and so we kindly pointed out that she made history, having all 4th graders learn how to play ukulele, and it was very, very successful. Our Memorial Day observance also was very, very nicely done. And I just want to thank Superintendent Smith for being there today. We had our 4th grade celebration, and it was nice to see our kids, you know, that's the next chapter, going up to middle school, and, so it was a nice ceremony, it was very nice.
And I thought it was a nice touch that you had the fifth grade team there with Mr. Prentice and Mrs. Popovich, so that they could, meet them and know where they're going, so it was very
I
impressive.
think we'll set a lot of people at ease. They went to the classroom, they met the teachers, they've been to the classroom, and, they had a nice ceremony with us, so they're well on their way.
Well done. Mr. Prentice?
Yes. So on behalf of the middle school, on June 3rd, 2019, the National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony took place in the auditorium. 13 grade 7 students were inducted. I'll just really briefly read their names. I think they deserve that. Kaylee Beck, Avery Butler, Jordan Butler, Audrey DeFilippo, Alexis Harris, Madison Koziak, Gabriella Lubomirsky, Isabella Nieves, Jacob Perry, Patricia Peterson, Noel Rasikov, Peyton Richard, and Alina Sakowitz. So those are the 13 that were inducted. Congratulations to those individuals. On same night, on June 3rd, 2019, in Plantsville, Connecticut, the Connecticut Association of Schools Middle Level Scholar Leader Banquet was held. The honorees were Emma Benoit and Alexander Noctegal, two well-deserving students. On June 4th, the DARE graduation took place in the auditorium. Thank you to Trooper Cummings and the fifth grade team who year in, year out do a wonderful job with that. The Thompson Middle School baseball team qualified for the state playoff tournament. I don't know where they went beyond that, but they qualified. They had a nice run there. And of course, on Wednesday, June 12th, is the moving up ceremony at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
I just want to mention the float at the Memorial Day Parade that the middle school art teacher and the
Yeah.
students put together was phenomenal.
Yeah, Jerry Noll did a tremendous job. He's just such a great talent, you know, really nice addition to the school, yeah, very nicely done.
You know, it almost looked like the things moved because
Right.
you looked at it one way, it was one thing, and then looked at it another way, it was something else. I don't know if you call that an optical illusion or what, but it was
Yeah.
unbelievable. So I just wanted to make sure that he knows that
Thank you.
it was
And
fantastic.
kudos to Mr. Joyce and the high school
Yes.
kids, because they actually did the hard part, the construction part. Mr. Knoll designed it, but they did the bulk of the work and then helped Jerry, and then Jerry and his team painted that, so.
Real nice job.
And everybody had their hand in it, DPW, Mr. Beausoleil, had his hand in it, you know, getting the truck and getting it, the Speedway, the flatbed came from the Speedway, Mr. Rice actually, took care of that for us, so, it was certainly a community event, for sure.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
I guess first and foremost, the Bradley Partnership Program. So we met last Monday with the Bradley Upper Echelon to take a look at potential space here in Thompson. We also had 3 other districts directors here as well, Putnam, Killingly, and Woodstock. By the end of that meeting, everybody was very impressed with the space that we have here. And the program is a go. So they are looking at what renovations would need to take place in the 3 different classrooms. All of that is covered by Bradley. We don't pay for any of that, first and foremost. So we are set to move forward to have this up and running for next school year. Any questions with any of that? Is everyone comfortable with it?
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you have 2 other districts that are also
Yep.
interested, right?
So it was very difficult to get the 5 districts that were interested together, so Brooklyn and Webster were unable to attend, but they're still interested as well. So we did have the 3, again, Putnam, Killenly, and Woodstock. So we would have a classroom at the elementary, the middle, and the high school, so we would be able to offer those services throughout. You would have a clinical psychologist and a clinical social worker to travel amongst the 3 rooms. So basically, any type of support that's offered in and out of district placement to that caliber, we would have here on site. And obviously, that would be to our advantage to be able to offer that here rather than sending kids out. Okay. Myself and our administrative assistant were trained in CompuClaim. We will train the staff for ESY, so we'll start that billing process this summer. Again, that's to increase the billable hours that we have been providing, but with CompuClaim, rough estimate, in between 14 and 20 now, we should be getting what's being proposed 60 to 90,000, so it's quite a difference.
It's a huge difference.
So 504s you couldn't bill before, now you can. Out of district placements, we weren't billing for those, now you can, okay? So that's out there. And then also on June 3rd, we held a meeting for ESY with the teachers, just to make sure everybody knew their assignment, where the paraprofessionals were going, and what that program would look like.
It's a space theme this year, isn't it?
Correct.
The ESY and Title I program.
Correct. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Poland.
I guess first, I'm just happy to say testing season is over. Kind of get a little bit of my head back once that happens, so we had a pretty good test completion rate in most of our buildings, so I'm very pleased with that. And we'll see the results soon, so there's that. That includes AP testing is over. We won't see those results till first or second week of July, and that's universal, no matter when they took the test. They all kind of get released at the same time, so we've got some time for that. I'm not exactly sure the date that they'll start releasing smarter balanced results, but we'll get those as soon as we can share those as soon as we have them. We have quite a few things going on over the summer, all of which is in my board report, so I won't take the time to repeat them all, but it's just worth noting that when the school year ends and the kids leave, a lot of teachers start coming in, and we have a lot of work that we do, that doesn't always get seen, but I just wanted people to know that there's a lot more work going on with people who are both doing work that they're being paid to do as part of the contract, but also volunteer work that teachers come in and serve on committees and do interviews for new staff that we have to hire and such. So just fair recognition to all those people who will still be in the building. It won't seem like they've ever left.
Just on a side note, the award scholarship night, my favorite night of the year, you did a wonderful job emceeing that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very nice evening.
Thank you.
Megan.
I'll begin by saying I missed my favorite evening, the awards and scholarship night, but I knew that I left it in trusted hands, and I heard that it was wonderful. I'm proud to say that I'm part of the NEAG Alumni Association group at UConn, and I was being appointed the vice president of that committee. So it was a night that I could not miss. But it's a nice way to pay forward for future educators. So it's my continued investment in the field. The couple of great things, I don't know if you saw in the newspaper, the art show article that was written. If not, I'll share that link with Danielle, she can send it out. Great for all 3 of our schools to be recognized so publicly. Also, too, if you haven't seen the video of the senior walk, it's available on our website as well as the Thompson Public Schools Facebook page and my own. Again, what a wonderful event captured this year by Jeff Bolte. And I can't say enough about what beautiful character Jeff brings to capturing our moments in film. His generosity in attending all of our sporting events and all of our public events in order to provide those picture moments. He really is wonderful. I'm really glad that we've contracted with him to put those out for us. Kiara O'Brien is still running strong and doing all of her 7 events in the heptathlon. She'll be competing again the 11th, which is tomorrow, and then on Wednesday. You'll notice in my board report that her brother was also recognized as taking second for the art award. Ms. Livernush, who works with our Women's Auxiliary, was very proud with our participation in that event again this year, and his level of second was actually statewide. So that family is really being recognized for some spectacular celebrations right now. Of course, we're really excited for tomorrow's graduation. We are a full house. I've been able to honor all family requests for tickets, but I will say that given the constraints of the seating arrangements, people will need to come together as a family that we are and sit in every seat possible. We have 4 empty tickets at this point out of the entire auditorium. But we're really excited and very excited to meet our 1997 graduate, Marianne Sine, who will be our keynote speaker. Also, too, as Mr. Pullen was speaking about the work that's being done over the summer, we have 2 teachers that will be developing their AP skills, one in chemistry and the other in calculus, in order to keep the AP rollout still growing, where our students can work towards college credit here at Turtle Rock. And then I'd like to just bring your attention to keep your eye on our courtyard. We're working with Lowe's right now to bring the Pratt & Whitney grant that we started last summer that Mrs. Smith had secured for us to create an outdoor learning center, wherein last year we were able to really begin the groundwork, and now we're beginning the process of putting it back together. So we're really hoping that that comes to fruition.
I was
shortly.
gonna ask you about that, like where we were with that. Good.
Mr. Birch.
I thought I moved to the other side of the room, you missed me.
Messed me all up there for a minute.
I guess the biggest news is that we have finally received authorization from the state to move forward with the oil tank replacement project. We managed to secure that last Friday, I believe. The RFP went out to a sole source vendor for the tank itself, for the equipment. We expect that RFP back probably tomorrow, and the building committee will approve that on Thursday. The RFPs have gone out to the vendors for the construction part of it, and those are all due back in, I believe, on the 24th. So we are trying to compress this schedule to the best of our ability. And we will have the new tank in place before we need to turn the heat on. That's the biggest one. The other things going forward is, much like recalling some of the teachers, there's some work that we need to do, whether there's a budget or not. So we are putting those things in place to get some of those necessary things done, so that we open the doors and turn on the lights when we need to. The exterior lighting project should take off just about as soon as everybody clears out of here, and we can have some space out in the parking lot. And that's about it.
And thank you to you and the grounds crew for tidying up outside, taking out countless branches and logs and everything else that was out there on the hill. And I noticed that all those weeds coming up the hill are now going to Mr. Birch. So thank you very much.
As I said, don't worry about it. Mush is on it.
Are you all set with your summer help?
I am, actually. I've got, you know, my summer help changes, and I've done pretty well. I would say the last 5 or 6 years, I've had some really good young people that have helped out, and it looks like the new kids I've got this year are gonna be every bit as good.
Good. Good. All right, does anybody have any questions for any of the administrative team? Thank you. Okay, so let's move to action items. First one's the minutes of the April 8th meeting. Have a motion to approve.
Make a a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any corrections?
It was just minor things. Second page. Interview for legal services.
Okay, any other comments on this? All right, all those in favor of accepting the
Did we
minutes?
make a motion and second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that. Where was I?
So you're probably reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay, the minutes of the Monday, May 13th meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion,
I'll second.
second from Donna. Any corrections on this one?
Jody's missing.
Jody, where were you?
She must have been here because I saw her in a motion.
Oh, this was your first one coming up?
I didn't make any, I wasn't here.
Okay, so we'll add Jody in there. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes after we add Jody in, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anybody gonna abstain?
I abstain.
Okay, we have one abstain.
Jody, I know you were there because you were my phone contact in California.
Oh, that's right.
So I knew you were there. And I didn't abstain before on the previous one because I was watching.
Oh, okay. All right. Teacher recalls. You want to recall all of the non-tenured teachers but two at this present time. Do I have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion. I'll
Second.
second it. Recall all but two of the non-tenured.
Linda's got the second. Any discussion?
Is there any procedural as far as knowing the two or knowing the ones we are recalling? Does it matter? We're just voting.
The least senior kindergarten teacher and, the least senior reading teacher at Mary Fisher.
Good. And depending on the outcome of the budget is, we're gonna recall those people. Any questions?
So you said the least, senior reading teacher at
Mary Fisher.
Mary Fisher, okay.
And the least senior kindergarten teacher at this point at Mary Fisher.
Good?
Right now, our enrollment is, it's low, but Noveline said that it's always around this number at this time of the year, and then over the summer, we get,
Influx.
we are, but we have budget.
No, I understand that.
I
Just
don't-
reading surprises, that's all.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't change hardly at all this year.
School-wide.
I went from 423 to.
No, I agree with you that reading isn't the thing to cut, but we have to be cognizant of the fact that if we cut anything else, then we're gonna really significantly raise class sizes. And we may have to go there depending on what happens, but these were the two least senior folks, so we went there.
Okay. Any other questions on
Hopefully,
this?
we won't have to do it.
All those in favor of the recalls but two, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anybody want to abstain?
I would regret, or.
Well, hopefully the budget passes and
Right.
and we're able to recall everyone.
Right.
Next one is a legal firm. Kathleen, you want to make a motion on this one?
Okay, wait a minute, what was my name? Yeah, Pullman and Pullman. Okay, I make a motion that we will have discussion after this, because I'd like to have the shipment of goodness letter at least in our discussion.
Good.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we accept Pullman and Comey as our new legal firm. But I'd also like to open the floor to discussion.
Okay, so I need a second. Now we can open to discussion.
Okay. There's two things that we have to keep in mind. We're in the middle of negotiations with the custodians and the secretaries. So we will need to keep on our attorney with Shipman and Goodman, Richard Mills, for the continuation of that negotiation. Also, I would like to ask the question of, do we utilize Shipman and Goodman for any of our professional development now?
Yes, so they sometimes offer either webinars or actually face-to-face, professional development sessions, which I actually am registered for one this summer. But very often they send out news blasts, and when there is a session that's of interest, we do attend those, so those are available to us.
Okay, and I'm sure the other firm probably does them.
Correct, they do.
do the same thing, I do recall that. So we're not giving up a lot by not taking advantage of this, I mean.
Right, it says up to 6 hours.
We don't spend a
It's
lot of
not-
money on this?
We did last year, remember we had that confidentiality issue, and so I did bring in a lower legal firm to do that confidentiality training, because it was just less expensive. But they do offer a wide range of professional development. They even come out to Ursa NASA sometimes. They did the whole thing on the DCF overview, and what our legal rights are in regards to a district. So they are a presence as far as professional development, but Pullman and Comey also does.
Yeah, they do too, because I do recall that in their literature, so I just wanted to, make sure that we are gonna be covered with that, so.
Any other questions, comments about this?
Nope.
Oh, I thought
Oh,
Sean
you did,
Sean
sorry, I
did.
didn't I didn't hear you. It's okay.
That's unusual.
Thank you.
So the savings could be significant, so I think this is the way to go. So without any other comments, all those in favor of changing law firms effective July 1? Pullman and Comey, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone want to abstain? Okay. Next is paraprofessional layouts.
We vote on this?
What are you gonna do with that? It's here,
Yes.
it's action item.
Well, yes, you have to approve the layoff of 2 of the senior
All
paraprofessionals.
right, that's fine. You didn't tell us that the first time, so I didn't know what we were doing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay,
There's 2.
there's 2.
Okay.
And remember, they're part of the original budget development.
All right.
They're part of the
Yeah.
2020 budget?
Yes,
Oh.
that was in the original budget
Original
proposal.
That was the original,
Yeah.
yeah. So I need a motion.
What?
I need a motion to lay off 2 paraprofessionals.
Yep. As part of the FY20 budget,
That was the original budget.
Correct.
Those positions were cut from the original budget.
right.
I'll make the motion that we lay off 2 paras from the original budget.
I don't mind doing this, but is this necessary that we do this?
Yeah.
Well,
Do we have to
we're
do it
opening-
now, or wouldn't we do it as all part of the budget?
Well, I think we're gonna go in steps. I think what we're going in steps, we have 2 now, we might have more.
Well, I
But
think if we
I
have a
need to
motion and
let
a
these
second.
people know that.
Oh, okay.
With a motion and a second, we can discuss it, because I have a question about it.
Well, we have a motion, second, don't we?
We have a
Okay,
second.
I'll second the motion, just so we can get a discussion
There's already a
started.
second.
Oh, you already did, all right, fine.
What, I guess maybe I'm not sure on the paras contracts. They're not 1 year renewable, in other words, why are you laying them off, why are you just not renewing their contract?
Because they've been hired as permanent employees, right?
Okay.
And so, in order to.
But they're contracted, I just didn't understand, I wanted to be sure that,
They weren't temporary.
okay. Okay. So we're cutting those positions. But if the need arises based on pupil services, they would be the first ones in, is that how that would work?
That's what their contract calls for.
Okay.
They're recalled by seniority.
Okay. All All right, so we have a motion, a second. Any other comments, questions on this? All those in favor of the two layoffs, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone want to abstain? Excellent. The use of the historical educational room. Joe's watching and he just texted me, so if anybody has questions, we can ask him. But, for the sake of discussion, could I have a motion to, Kathleen's got the motion to use the historical rooms as outlined in Joe's original
Joe's letter, yes.
letter?
I'll second.
And I have a second. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, all those of allowing the use of the 1909 building for historical learning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone want to abstain? Motion passes. Thank you, Joe. Resignations. We have Jessica Jervis, who's leaving at the end of the year. We have a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept resignation.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone want to abstain? We have a retirement. Mark Lambert is retiring. Do I have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. Any comments on this? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain?
What does, Ms. Jervis teach?
She taught health and.
Oh, I see it, never mind. I knew she had said that, and
She was a very good health teacher, however, she got a position closer to home.
Makes sense.
and you will be replacing Mr. Lambert?
Yes, we will.
And his position is
Custodian,
Evening custodian.
evening custodian.
for better than 40 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a,
Yeah, we don't want it to.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
We're done.
We're done.
We're done.
We're done.
Motion to
I
adjourn.
was stretching this out for 2 months now. I gotta stop because it's not fair to Joe.
I know.
Everybody sees the resignation from the Board of Ed from Joe Lindley.
Yes.
Could I have a motion to accept?
No.
Yeah.
You know, Joe.
Yeah.
I think Val.
So Val's got, and I'd like to add with much regret to
Yeah.
that.
I'll second
We
it.
have a second from Donna. Comments, questions? I mean, just a big thank you to Joe. I mean,
Oh
for
my
all
God.
these years, and he'll still be around. I tried to stretch it out, like I said, but it's his wish to resign, because he just can't be here full-time.
Would somebody be able to see him to get him his graduation ticket for tonight?
Joe, you have the graduation ticket right here. So if he wants to go, he'll go. What else can he say?
I want to say thank you to Joe as a new superintendent. You certainly made my transition here a remarkable one. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so,
Can we
that all
give a-
being
Can
said.
we give a quick, like, standing ovation?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, well, why not?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so all those in favor of accepting Mr. Lindley's resignation, please say aye.
Fortunately, I.
He says thank you.
And just for the record, I'll valet his car.
All right. That takes care of that. Correspondence. I do have a piece of correspondence from the Democratic Town Committee because I did get in touch with Kathy Thomas and told her that this was happening, that Joe, and they do, as Joe was endorsed by the Democrats, they historically have the opportunity to name a replacement. And I'm very happy that they've nominated Matt Polsky to fill Joe's spot on the board until the next municipal election. And I don't think they could have picked a better candidate, frankly. And so I don't know if we need a motion to accept him onto our board or anything, but next meeting.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, we'll get you a nameplate, or we'll just cross off Joe's name.
Tape it over.
And,
Put a sticky.
right, and so Danielle, if you can just make sure Danielle has all your information, she'll send you the packets and the information and the meeting times and dates.
Very good, thank you very much.
So, welcome to the board.
Thank you.
I don't have any other correspondence, do you?
I do not.
Old business? How about a citizens' comments? Mr. Rice, Mr. Polsky?
Thank you very much for allowing me to be on the board and accepting the nomination. I won't be able to fill Joe Lindley's shoes, huge shoes in this town. And I want to personally say thank you to Joe for all the years and years of service that he's given to the town and to the country. But I will do my best to serve the town and the Board of Education as best I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rice?
I want to thank the board for the use of that 1909, the rooms up there, and assisting the Thompson Historical Society on preserving the history of Thompson. Part of that history, the use of that room, we're acquiring the Mechanicsville Post Office, the original J. Kenny's post office and grocery store that was the original in that town. So thank you very much. We'll be able to use that room as part of the 10 villages, the displays of the 10 villages up there. They'll be quite impressive, if I may say so myself.
You may. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? What
I
are
do
your
have a
comments?
question.
Yeah.
I've had people inquiring about the use of the auditorium for events, type of events, either book readings, book author night, that type of thing. What is the procedure? Is there a written procedure?
There is.
Okay.
Typically, town organizations get the use of it. We don't charge them, but they do pay custodian fees. Out-of-town organizations or for-profit organizations pay to rent it, and along with the custodian fees.
What if they're nonprofits?
So if we already have the custodians here, it really is dependent upon what the organization is going, what facility they're gonna use. Bill and I will talk about it, but if we have custodial coverage and it's a nonprofit and it's a town organization, very often we waive those fees. But if we have to call in a custodian, then that organization has to assume those costs. And Danielle can help you out with all of that, because she books all of the space usage.
Any other Board of Ed comments? How about a comment to adjourn? Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Linda's got it. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you all for coming.